42 years ago, Iron Maiden released one of the greatest metal records of all time, and it kicks off with one of the sickest tunes in their entire catalog. But how can this tune make us better players all these years later? Let's talk about that. Hey kids, it's your good buddy, Uncle Ben. Over my many years as a guitar teacher and touring musician, I've learned thousands of songs, and they've all taught me something that stuck with me and helped me along the way. Mastering tunes makes us better players, and that's why every guitarist should learn ACES High by Iron Maiden. Hey kids, it's your good buddy, Uncle Ben, and these are my things. ACES High is like a perfect example of everything that we love about Iron Maiden. It's got the guitar harmonies between Dave and Adrian, the driving bass line from Steve, the historically charged lyrics, crazy key changes, dueling guitar solos. There's so much awesome stuff that we can learn from Iron Maiden. I knew I had to do something of theirs in the series. And oddly enough, this is the first Iron Maiden video I've ever made on my channel, which kind of blows my mind. I've been doing this stuff on the weekly for like 12 years and have somehow never done anything with Maiden. But this seemed like a perfect place to start because it's one of my favorite tunes ever. We're going to go through all the awesome stuff that we can learn from this song today on guitar and bass, and you're going to get even more out of this video if you check out the extended and ad-free cut that's only available on my Patreon page, patreon.com/Ben Eller Guitars. Is it a Patreon page or a small cult? It's up for you to find out for as little as $1 a month. Going to get you access to that video as well as hundreds of other bonus goodies, so don't delay, sign up today over at patreon.com/Ben Eller Guitars. I'll see you there. Gear-wise for today's video, I'm busting out my Action Jacksons here. For Dave's parts, I'm going to be playing this amazing American Series Soloist, and when we're looking at Adrian's parts, I'll be playing my Jackson Virtuoso, also made here in America. For the big guitar parts, I'll be mashing rope here on my Suhr J Classic Antique, my favorite bass ever, which was also made right here in the States. This is too much American gear for a British band. But I will be up in the irons through 100 watts of British glory. This is my Marshall JCM 800 reissue, and I've got an extra little treat here in the back of the amp that I just installed. This is the 1987 Caswell mod from Legendary Tones. This is an awesome reversible modification that you can use on a bunch of different amps. Let you put 2 tubes in that first preamp socket so you can get some extra gain and fatness out of the amp. It's also got this like thump and bite switch on there for additional low-end and high-end extension. I think it sounds awesome. Just gives this thing an additional little kick in the amp pants to give us some more heat for this tune. Yeah, let's get into it. As we go through here, I'm going to try to identify which guitar player played which part, but I'm not like an Iron Maiden expert, so please correct me down in the comment section if I'm wrong about who's playing what here. The song kicks off with that awesome repeated guitar harmony line and some deceptively weird timing going on. So the first key that we're going to use in this song is F sharp minor, and it follows a 1, 6, 7 progression in that key, which is going to be F sharp, D, and E. Remember that 1, 6, 7 thing because it's going to keep coming back throughout the song. So Dave's riff is the lower one, and it follows those chords closely. Meanwhile, Adrian's got the high part, which stays the same the whole way through. So the mistake that a lot of us make whenever we think about Iron Maiden and their guitar harmony thing is that they're always doing the classically inspired thirds. This is where one guy's playing a note in scale and another guy's playing a note 3 notes ahead of him. And this harmony section does have a lot of thirds in it, but it's also got a few interesting things going on. For example, there's like a major second going on in between those two notes. Adrian's playing this high G sharp while Dave plays the low F sharp. It only lasts a split second, but it makes this really interesting kind of dissonance in there. If I slowed it down and played both parts on guitar, it'd sound like this. Whenever the low part changes to follow the chords, that gives us a brief fifths harmony on there, where both guitars are 5 notes away from each other in the scale. This can show you how to get some really interesting harmony sounds rather than just sticking to the traditional thing where we stay the same distance apart throughout the scale at all times. Yeah, because both of the guitars are busy playing their harmony parts, there's no rhythm part to play those big punches with the drums. This is where Steve comes in and plays these big power chords on bass. A lot of times fingerstyle bass players will use what I call the invisible pick technique, where you just kind of pretend you're holding a pick and kind of beat the crap out of your fingertips and nails while you strum through the strings. So we got to address the super weird timing at the start of the song. So there's those punches that the bass and drums are playing together like that, and the first time through they're different than every other time that we hear them. Here's the deal. There's kind of a lot of different ways you could count your way through this, but here's how I like to think of it. So the guitar riff, right? It doesn't start on beat number 1. It's not like 1, 2, 3, 4. It's not that square. It goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. That first note that we hear is a pickup note, a 1. The thing is, all the other punches that we hear are on beat number 1. Dun, da, da, da. They're on that second note of the lick. But the very first one that we hear in the song starts off on the pickup. So in other words, when the song begins, we're not hearing beat number 1. We're hearing the upbeat of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Like that. And all the other times, we're hearing 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. So just remember, the first time that you hear those punches, it's on the up of 4, and then it straightens itself out after that. Now there's some people, probably Adam Neely watchers, that would rather make the first measure of the song one of 9/8. So in other words, we're taking an entire measure of eighth notes and just adding on that 1/8 note for a total of 9/8. We're including the pickup in the first measure and not calling it a pickup. We're calling it beat 1. I think this is overly complicated. Let me try to count my way into it using the isolated drum track. Keep in mind, a measure of 9/8 sounds like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1. You hit 5 and then immediately start the next measure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. It straightens out after that. So whether you call it a pickup or an extended measure, it's just weird either way. No wonder the band doesn't play it live. After that epic intro, everything changes. We got a new tempo, we have a new key, we're gonna be in A minor now.
A key change!
And we got this awesome new guitar part that's like always reminded me of something from Double Dragon. So you remember how I said this started off in F sharp minor, playing a 1, 6, 7 progression. Well, over this riff, we're now in A minor, so we've jumped up a minor third from here to here, and this is also following a 1, 6, 7 progression, which is A, F, and G. Once again, we got Dave taking the low road here and playing this lick. And up higher in the harmony, we have Adrian as his top. Am I using that term right? As a quick PS, sometimes I see Adrian playing it this way live. I just think that's harder to play, personally. That lick at the really high tempo kind of sucks. So choose your own adventure, play it whichever way you like. Now this one does follow that classic thirds harmony all the way through. Whenever Dave is on A, Adrian's going to be on A, B, C, right? Whenever Dave is on G, then Adrian's going to be on G, A, B, and so on. I mentioned earlier that this sounds like something from Double Dragon, and I think there's a good reason for that. I was doing some reading a while back about the guys that composed the soundtracks for all those classic 8 and 16-bit games, whether it be Double Dragon or Street Fighter or any of those. And they were all apparently like Japanese metalheads. These dudes loved Iron Maiden, they loved Motorhead, they loved Metallica, all this stuff. They were very influenced by that new wave of British heavy metal. So I think whenever you hear those classic game soundtracks and you go, oh, that kind of sounds like Maiden, yeah, it kind of does. That's exactly what they were trying to do. So while the guitars are playing the meaty stuff up top, Steve is back there outlining that chord progression that we talked about earlier, the A minor progression that's a 1, 6, 7. A minor, F, and G. This is a prime example of something I say all the time. Bass is boss. The sound of those licks that the guitar players are playing, it really changes depending on what the bass note is at that time. See, whenever we hear Dave's part that starts off on the A, whenever Steve is on the A note, we hear that as a big, strong root note, right? Now, whenever he moves the riff down to F, and he plays that same lick on guitar, we don't hear that A note as a root anymore. We hear it as a big, melodious third. Whenever the bass note changes, the relationship of the melody changes. We're always hearing the melody up top in terms of how it relates to the bass down low. That's why I say bass is boss. Forgot to mention in the intro, I'm playing the bass today through my Axe effects, which is just acting like a DI. I'm actually using a bass amp sim in Logic. Nothing fancy. Going to the verse riff, we get
a key change.
Another key change. So we were in A minor, now we're going up a fifth to the key of E minor for that sliding power chord riff. So the first key change that we had from F sharp minor to A minor was really dramatic because those two harmonic languages are really different. But to go from A minor to E minor is pretty gentle because they're only different from each other by one note. So A minor has A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, the musical alphabet, no sharps, no flats. The key of E minor has E, F sharp, there's one note different, but then the rest, G, A, B, C, D, E, it's all cut from the same cloth. So whenever you move keys by a fifth like this, following the mystical circle of fifths you guys have seen everybody talk about, it tends to make for a more gentle key change. I really like what's happening with the bass right here too. So the other parts in the song, the guitars have been static and the bass has been moving the chords around, right? For the verse, they Missy Elliott style, flip it and reverse it. The guitars are moving all over the place and the bass is staying relatively still. He's mainly hanging on that E, and then at the end of the progression he plays its 7 there, the D, with that major third on top to give it that D major sound. Second part of the verse has, guess what? Another key change, this time back to A minor. It's the exact same riff, and again, it's an easy change because E minor and A minor are pretty similar. So it's the exact same riff, just in a new key. So Steve makes an interesting choice here on bass. Like the guitars, he takes his E riff, but instead of going low like the guitars do, he goes high instead. This creates a really cool effect because you're hearing the guitars go lower while the bass goes higher. So the pre-chorus riff of the song goes back to E. And I'll be honest, there's some pretty major discrepancies here between what the two guitars and the bass are playing. But I don't think of them as mistakes exactly. I think of them as that cool human element that makes this stuff still sound so amazing 42 years later. It's not that hyper, ultra perfect, gridded, everything's recorded and punched in one note at a time thing. It definitely doesn't sound like some garbage that AI would churn out. It sounds perfectly human, and that's perfectly fine. So that's the low part, which I think is Dave's part. And the part that Adrian plays is a little different. Let me play the isolated guitars here slowed down, and you'll hear they're not really in agreement on that riff. It sounds like one of them is playing while the other guy's playing a more traditional, like descending threes riff on top. It goes by so fast that you don't really notice it, and wait till I show you what's going on with the bass right there. He comes in and adds in a third harmony there on that last lick for a little extra Iron Maiden flair. And the bass part is way different. Listen to this. You can definitely hear C and B flat in there. Whether that was intentional or not, I have no freaking idea. But I know that it doesn't bother me whatsoever to hear it on the album, so who cares? So guitar-wise, the song has been pretty relentless so far, but when we get to the chorus, we get to take a little break here and play these long, sustained power chords. Steve, however, does not take a break on bass. The bass and drums are still really locked in and really driving that part. Whenever you're playing those straight 16s like that, it can be really hard to get the tone right and control the string if it's like moving around a bunch. That's why it's really important to choose the right location here for your plucking hand, namely closer to the bridge. Because the string is like a trampoline. It's the bounciest in the middle. This is where it's going to be the hardest to control because the string is just bouncing all over the place. A trampoline is a lot stiffer towards the edges of the mat, and that's just how our strings act. You can see here on my J Classic how I've worn a hole down through the paint and the wood back here at the bridge pickup because that's where I typically like to rest my thumb whenever I'm playing those fast 16s. String's just a lot easier to control closer to the bridge. After you go through a couple laps of that E minor progression, we get a what class?
Another key change!
That's right, another key change. This time we're going to modulate up a minor third to G minor. And guess what these progressions in the chorus have been? 1, 6, 7 progressions, just how the intro started. So with the E part, it was E, C, and D. Now we're in G minor, it's G minor, E flat, and F. So always following that 1, 6, 7 progression. And of course, it'd be stupid to have a song about planes dogfighting without having a big-ass dive bomb on there, which I think Adrian does. Whenever you're doing those long, sustained harmonics and smacking on the kickstand there, you have to be really careful to not generate a bunch of noise off the unused strings. This can really help you learn how to use your left hand to mute out any strings that you don't want to be heard. So you'll notice after I hit the 2 harmonics on the D and G, using my thumb and first finger, I lightly covered the E and A with my thumb and the E and B with my first finger. Now I'm not fretting them or mashing them or anything. I'm just touching them enough that they won't generate any noise when I start abusing that bar. Before the solo kicks in, we have another new riff and another
key change!
That's right, key change. So we just left the key of G minor. Now we're going to step up to A minor again. The thing we can learn from this section of the song is how flexible song structures can be. Okay, think about this. So far, we're like, I don't know, 2.5, 3 minutes into this song, right? Nothing has repeated once. It's just been new riffs after new riffs after new riffs. It's been pretty relentless, but everything has felt pretty cohesive. It's really weird, right? Like, I wouldn't think that a song that's just a whole bunch of new riffs in a row with 2 different tempos in it so far, and I mean, how many key changes? Like 6 or 7 key changes already? It doesn't seem like this should work as a song, but they have a way of tying these little threads in between all the riffs that just make them work. So don't be afraid to try out some really unusual structures in your songs that you're writing. Just try to find a way to kind of weave a story through all the riffs like Maiden does, and you'll be good to go. So the bass is just following the guitar part, but I want to point out how he plays it up high. You'll notice how it keeps the low end in control. It still sounds really tight and glued together with the drums. And then of course we get to our epic dueling dogfight solo section, which kicks off with Dave's solo. So this lick is based around the A minor hexatonic scale. That's just like taking your traditional A minor gentonic scale and adding in the German interval, the 9. So you still have all those classic bluesy phrases, but the addition of the 9th, the B note in that scale, gives you some really cool A minor sounding stuff. His solo kicks off with one of my favorite things in rock guitar land, which is a big juicy bend with a whole bunch of picking on top. Whenever you're doing tremolo picking, I recommend kind of planting the hand on the base of the bridge of the guitar, or even on just the unused strings, in this case your E, A, and D strings, and using that as kind of an anchor point. From there, you can use your forearm and your elbow here just to kind of vibrate the hand. The way I want you guys to think about this is, no, not that. Think about it like the same motion that you use whenever you're scribbling, right? Whenever you scribble, you tend to put your hand down on the paper and let that elbow kind of just vibrate the arm. That's kind of the motion that I'm going for here. So this lick is a great workout in finger independence here for your left hand. It can be really easy to get off track with that lick and turn it into just a big muddy slur of notes. Like that. Take like a steady beat like this, and try to really feel a connection between your little finger and the beat. Having that connection between that finger and the downbeat is going to help you stay locked into the groove a whole lot more better. That last fast lick is mostly all hammer-ons and pull-offs, so you don't have to worry about trying to pick your way through all that. That would be really freaking hard if you did. Just like that pull-off lick that we played, let the left hand do the heavy lifting. That's so cool. I would never think to do that. It's kind of like he's outlining a B minor arpeggio to go over that B power chord he's playing over. Adding in, once again, the German interval, the 9. So this is a C sharp in this case. Really nice intense sounding between that D note here and the pull off. Kind of alternating between the two notes like that. Now this lick can really help you learn how to play some cool one-string scale patterns. So this is all around B minor, so the one-string scale for that would look like this. And he's basically just doing pull-offs through that, descending in 3s. You can see how he goes down 3 notes in the scale, and then back 1. These one-string pull-off licks have been used by everybody from like Kirk Hammett to Joe Satriani to Francis Bubble Trousers. I think they're awesome. It's just a really great way to use that pedal tone of the root note here, B, while using a bunch of other intervals from the scale. And it's also pretty easy to do. So he's laid out all this B minor framework, but the next lick that he plays kind of breaks away from that in a very rock and roll way. He's going to start using the B kind of Dorian blues hybrid scale. Also known as the Jimmy Page scale if you're playing the home game. So whenever he plays this lick, he's going to contradict some of the language that he set out a second ago. Instead of using G, like he usually has in the scale, he's playing a G sharp now. It's not a Berkeley grad choice exactly, but it is a very cool rock and roll choice. In the language of rock and blues, we can kind of interchange that minor and that Dorian thing pretty freely, and it sounds, I don't know, cool. Good old juicy, Billy Gibbons style pinch harmonics in there. Quickest tutorial on how to do pinch harmonics. Take your pick, make just a little teeny tiny bit of it stick out like that, right? Just like the last atom or so of the pick. Now, take a pen or a Sharpie or something, and right in line with the tip of the pick, I want you to draw a dot on the side of your finger. Just like that right there. See that? Hopefully that's zooming in closely enough here to where you can see it. Try to make that dot touch the string. Don't think about using your thumb or picking the note and then touching it with your thumb or whatever. Just think, I need to make this dot touch the string, and it's probably going to make you do the right thing as long as you're holding your pick really close to the tip like that. Probably going to do it for you. Great solo, doesn't overstay its welcome, and most importantly, really illustrates the difference between Dave and Adrian's playing. I love hearing bands with two guitar players that sound vastly different from each other. It really opens up a lot of gateways for like musical conversation whenever they are trading solos off. It's not just like a one-up contest of two guys who play the same licks trying to play them faster than each other. This is more like a musical dialogue between two players. Now, the only other thing that I want to point out here is at the end of the tune, it goes back to where we, well, not really where we started, the second section of the song, whenever the tempo changed and stuff. The double dragon riff, right? It goes back to that. Now, if you're playing along with the song, you're going to notice it is a whole lot harder to keep up with it this time than it was the first time around. Over the course of the song, the tempo has increased by like almost 10 BPM, it feels like, which is pretty crazy. Nowadays, everything is recorded to a click track, and then everything is gone in and edited and gridded to that click track. That way, everything stays perfectly the same the entire way through. But that is not how things used to be back in the day. There used to be push and pull and acceleration on exciting parts and laying back into the groove on the more chill parts of the song. That's something that I really miss. It's like letting the song breathe, letting the band breathe a little bit. And this is like a perfect example of that. By the time you get to the end of the tune, I don't know, it's like a marathon, but they're running faster through the finish line than it was when they started. It really makes it exciting and exhilarating and way cooler than it would have been if it was the exact same tempo aligned to the grid the entire way through. And there we go again with the human element thing that I was talking about earlier. That's why this stuff is going to be timeless. As long as there's humans, we're going to relate to what we're hearing here because it sounds human. So there you go, guys, a total guitar and bass breakdown of one of the sickest tunes in the Iron Maiden catalog. I cannot believe it took me this long to do a Maiden song on my channel, but obviously I want to do a lot more because it was really fun to break that one down. Look at the harmonies, look at all the different licks. Steve Harris's bass parts are freaking awesome in there. This was a lot of fun, and I definitely want to do more, so let me know down in the comments section what other Maiden tunes you guys would like to see featured on the next installment of Songs Everybody Should Learn. Thanks so much for watching. Be sure to give the video a like, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell for notifications every time I upload a new slice of fried gold. And if you want to get even more out of this video and be free of those pesky advertisements, be sure to check out the extended and ad-free cut of this video that's only available on my Patreon page, patreon.com/Ben Eller Guitars. There's like almost 800 bonus goodies waiting for you over there, so don't delay, join up today. As we go through our week, let's keep a good thought and try to be good to each other out there in a world that just seems to be getting crazier and crazier and meaner every time you open up your phone and go on social media or whatever. I say that we reject that and start just being a little bit kinder, a little bit more gentle to each other. And that's online and offline too, you know. Usually when I talk about this stuff, I'm talking about doing something in the real world. But hey, how about you go on the dang internet sometime this week and just be nice to somebody? Making the world a better place starts with you and I, whether that's in person or on the internet. So let's be good to each other out there. Thanks so much for watching. Now grab that rock guitar and start mashing some rope. Let's click it. More picking.